entanglements, but I also think it's more effort. We really have done more awareness, outreach, and we've gotten more people to help us out, and I really think that's most of what we're seeing. Okay, so how do you cut a 45-foot, 40-ton whale free? And I've actually taken a little bit of one of my favorite Moby Dick movies, the one with Gregory Peck in it. It's a little older, and we're using a whaling technique. It's called kegging, and in the heyday of whaling, again, Moby Dick era in the 1800s, they would harpoon a whale. Attached to the harpoon would be first the boat, so they get their Nantucket sleigh ride like you're seeing there, and then if the whale dove down, they'd attach a barrel or a keg to the whale. They didn't want to take the boat down, and that extra drag and buoyancy would slow the whale down, tire it out, and then they would lance the whale to death. Well, we're going to modify that technique. We're not going to harpoon a whale. We're trying to save. But what we're going to do is throw a grapple hook, something like this right here. You can see it in my hand there. Throw that into the entangling gear. Now we're attached to the whale, get towed behind the whale. If the whale dives, like this guy's getting ready to do, this humpback whale is going to dive. You can see it's arching its back, going down. We'd obviously let go, and we would have a large polyball or balloon buoy attached to the end of the line. That would be our keg. So we're actually adding more gear to get the gear off. We want to tire that whale out, keep it at the surface, and pull up to cut the gear off. So what I want to do is actually take you through some of our more recent cases, our disentanglement efforts, and show you the whole sequence of events. And I'm going to use the helmet cams, the pole cameras. I'm going to put you right in the boat with me and take you along for a Nantucket sleigh ride, if you will. So first thing is, here's the helmet cam footage of, and this is a little older footage. It gets better quality. These cameras are getting cheaper, but this is getting ready to throw the grapple into an entanglement of a humpback whale here. This is a female from 2006. And we're snagged on, and some of these have audio, some don't. Sometimes it's good not to have the audio, but bending it over the bow, the inflatable. These little small inflatables are great to use. They don't intimidate the animals, but they're big enough to keep us safe. And right now, you're basically on a big fish in a sense, and riding it, so to speak. You're getting your Nantucket sleigh ride. Now it's going to go down, so we're going to let go in this case. But let's keep moving on and give you some actual cases. This is a case we had back in December 2009. It's a yearling with its mother still, so it came back with mom, had an escort with it, and this is the prime example here of the ocean users helping us out. And this was several PWF boats that found this animal first. It did make the wind line. It made the Pilolo channel on us. We tagged it in this case to work on it another day. That tag or grapple chewed through the line. We lost track of it, but we had some PWF boats find it again for us within a couple hours, and we reapplied that telemetry buoy, that line on the whale. So here's actually that second application of the grapple. So this is getting towards the end of the day by the time we relocated. And there's the throw.
Okay, we're on. That's in there. If I can. Okay, we're on.
This time a little calmer seas at least, but again, we're running out of daylight.
Let's clear this.
So we tagged this one. You'll see the transmitter package going over the side of a boat. And we had to wait 4 days until that whale slowed down and it ended up on Penguin Bank before we were able to cut it free 4 days later. But let's show you another case of getting a hold of a whale. This is actually Christmas Day that same year. It had an anchor hanging right below it there. Some of the boats reported they thought it was ship struck, but it was entangled. And here's right off Lahaina. Here's where we're going to throw that grapple. It's actually doing some head slaps, chin breaches in the East Coast. And there's the throw. And once again, you hook onto that debris behind the animal, and you get your Nantucket sleigh ride. You'll see the head start to jerk a little bit when you're riding the animal a little bit. Okay, there it goes. And you're just playing the animal for a while, trying to slow it down, keep it to the surface. Now, eventually, it might take the initial buoy down with it. You're going to have to wait for it to come back up. And you've got to motor up, grab that initial buoy, and you want to start adding your kegs on. Add another keg on. Here we're trying to, this is that yearling, by the way. So yearlings, the juveniles, have been very difficult to stop. There's a telemetry buoy, the tag buoy that we found the animal with. It kind of worked well for us. So we're going to put another keg buoy on, adding more gear to get the gear off.
Well, we'll let them tire out more. There you go.
A good day on Penguin Bank.
Should hold.
We had the Coast Guard helping us on this one. So here we are, we're starting to starting to get to the point where the whale's not diving anymore, or at least not diving deep. So we're riding along all the kegging buoys behind. Again, they don't want to stop. It's young animals, energetic, still with mom, whatever it is. We've learned our lesson here on this one. So going pretty fast right now, maybe 6 to 8 knots right there. And then so the next sequence, I'm going to jump from a different event here, but this is off, you can see Lanai on the background there. This is a case 2007, and we've got this whale also staying at the surface now pretty much and slow down. So we're going to get right behind that whale. Nice thing about whales, they don't tend to go in reverse, so we can get right behind them. And we're going to add another buoy right behind that whale. Good spot, keep it from maybe flicking that tail at us. Obviously, it's not going to dive right there with a buoy, right there behind it. And let's show you another sequence here. We were able to get these free, by the way. And there is some audio with this one, but I love this, and there's a reason for it. But he's saying not with 3 barrels you can't. Not with 3, it's of course Jaws. Not with 3 you can't. Of course, he does. My message here is if it takes 3 barrels, use all 3 barrels or buoys. And I love the end of this sequence, by the way. This look, watch these guys. This look. And he goes, what the heck just happened? That's us. Every effort has always been different,
Have you ever had one do this before?
I think he says, have you ever had one do this before?
No.
And that's another message I have. There you go. So, okay, so eventually, and here we're back to our yearling. The whale will slow down. Here's the escort, by the way. He had to worry about the other guys. Mother was not a problem. Mother behaved herself, but the male kind of was chuffing up and doing flybys, showing off a little bit or checking us out. Never touched us, though. We eventually, and there's the Coast Guard, we eventually slowed the yearling down. We're able to pull up behind it, and we'll get to a point where we want to start assessing and cutting the animal free. And here's our Christmas Day whale. So we're going to go back to it. They're trumpeting below. It's a little upset at us. But we're right behind it, and we have a fixed knife. There's a knife on the end of that pole that we can make cuts with.
Weird, eh?
So this is a good
There
tool.
it is. It's there. It's small. Okay. Nothing
If-
happened yet. Yeah, got it. Yep, good. Okay, 1 cut.
If the entanglement is far aft on the body, we don't mind using a knife on the end of a pole that stays on the pole. But if the entanglement gets far up towards the head, like a flipper wrap or a mouth entanglement, we don't like to stay above the whale or beside the whale trying to cut big lines. So we have a knife that slips off the pole. So we'll show you that as well. This is actually the last cut that frees the Christmas Day whale from 2009. So this is the tail's right there.
Too deep.
We're reaching underneath the tail now to cut that anchor off, cut the last line. So we're running along that tight line that Dave Mitchell's holding, and there it goes. That's the last cut.
Are you clear? Okay.
And the whale just tore off,
You
so
got him.
kind of
Totally
into the
free.
sunset. Kind of worked out well.
Oh, well.
There's David.
Tissue, by the way.
So here we are back to that yearling, and this is the cut for the yearling. Helmet cam
You
footage.
okay? We're in, I
I'm
think.
going to let you watch it.
Pull coming aft. Pull aft. Pull aft. Pull aft. Pull back, David. Line back. Ease out, David. Ease out.
There was
Ease-
2
let go.
Davids in the
Ease out.
boat. My mistake.
Just ease
That
out.
was definitely some
Keep it
confusion.
down. Or did you let go totally? That's okay. It's okay. I'll have this. Okay, pull. I'm going to take the bow line. Pull clear.
There's the whale.
I'm going to ease out slowly.
So we just put a flying knife on the
Okay,
bridle
now you can
through
let
its
that go.
mouth.
Okay, I'm going to bend. We're far enough behind. We're safe.
And then we've dropped back behind now. So
think
the
it's
knife
off.
is on the whale. I think I showed you I'm going to show you a picture here. But see, what happened was we pulled up behind the whale on the initial line, the line that we actually grappled in. And we got right behind the whale, then we reached with a long pole with a knife on the end and hooked it to the bridle, went around and through the mouth. Okay, and let me show you that picture. I think it's the next one. Okay, slipped it. Yep. So there's the bridle line through the mouth. That head of the whale's over here. And there's the knife right there, right to the right side of that knot. And that's the line you just saw us put on. And about 10 minutes later, that knife did its job and cut through that line. And then we put sea anchors on the rest of the gear to pull it from the whale's mouth. And it worked out pretty darn well. Yep. So that was a success as well. And then we're going to move on here. This is a whale that wasn't really moving much. It was an anchored whale, a juvenile, on the north shore of Oahu there. And we were able to get out to it. And this whale did something that worked in our favor. It was curious. Every time we pulled up to it, it would rotate and bring its eye up towards the surface. And when it did that, it brought its flipper right to the surface, and that's where the entanglement was. So I think this next clip actually shows us taking advantage of that curious behavior and making the cuts at that right moment when it lifts its flipper up for us. And it's a camera hooked up to the pole right above the knife. So that's the flipper, or pectoral flipper. There's two lines, two wraps there. It's one cut, two cuts. The whales kind of rotated back in the water and swam off, but we got both cuts. And then the other flipper just peeled away. So that worked out well. It's nice when they work out as planned. Yeah, that's not always the case. And then just last year, we had a different species. They haven't all been humpback whales. Obviously, most of them are humpback whales because where we're at. But we've had a couple sperm whales. Not that we've been able to get to them, but entangled reports. But we had what we think was a sei whale. At least most people voted sei whale in this one. Wish I had gotten a skin sample. But it was entangled with some pretty heavy gauge line around the tail stalk there. Okay, big loop there, and then dragging behind. Again, this is last year. And kind of a late day response or report as well. One of the whale researchers reported this one, Dan Salden, his group. And so what we did is we thought maybe we can just run along beside the whale and get a hook knife a flying knife, into that loop right there. And if we cut that loop, everything would shed off. That was the plan. This is one of those cases where it didn't work as planned. So here's the pole cam footage. We're riding right beside that whale. Tried it there, missed. Just now we gotta wait for the tail to come up a little bit, and we'll